What's up, YouTube? Hi, guys. How are you doing? My name is Aziz, and I am an AI automation engineer and instructor. And today I am going to start a little series, so a multi-part video, if you will, in regards to lead generation. And I'm going to share with you the whole system, how I've built my infrastructure to basically build this complete system. So what we're going to do is that we will rebuild basically the whole system that I'm using in preparation to cold outreach email campaigns, right? But you can use this in, regards everything that you want to create if it's necessary to have a high quality lead list. And the process that I'm using is basically, or is consisting of basically these couple of things. So I have a complete system, and this is what it looks like. And we're going to build this within n8n again. And as you can see, there are multiple flows, but they are working as a cohesive, complete system in itself, right? That's a complete infrastructure. And I'm going to share with you everything. I'm going to share with you the flows, the prompts, everything else that you would need to know, the tech stack that I'm using. And I'm going to get to this in a second. So the first part that we need to take care of would be the actual sourcing, right? And I'm going to walk you through the whole process in itself, and then also the tools that I'm using. So first of all, when I open up this, then you can see that the sourcing part is quite simple, and basically all of these flows that I'm showing you right now are really, really simple, because I'm a big fan of building modularized, easy to maintain systems that are not, like bloated into one monster flow, if you will, but rather have tiny flows, small flows that are modularized and that are interacting with each other. And this is what we are going to do as well today. So this will be the first part today and within this video, and we are going to take care of the sourcing, right? And the first thing is that I want to show you what this actually looks like in the end if we are done by the end of this series with all these steps, right? So as you can see, I have now a sample database, and this is what it will look like. So there are a lot of people, and this is a lot of data, especially we want to have their email address, right? This is one of the most important parts, to have a certain kind of contact data. And then also we are making sure that the specific contact matches the ICP that we are using, that we want to have for ourselves or for our clients or for the company who are working for. Then we want to make sure that the emails are verified, that they don't get bounced for some reason. Then we also have some enriched data, for instance, the LinkedIn about page or the LinkedIn biography. And this is not limited to this, but we're going to take LinkedIn for this. And we have an enrichment status. This is just for the process itself. And then we also want to have an icebreaker. If you are sending out personalized messages, then you have a personalized individual icebreaker. And this will refer to everything you have on that specific person. So it's like a really good entry point to basically get the reader's attention, right? That they actually know that you have looked into their profile, and if they are a good match, and that you can offer them something like really tailored specifically to their needs, right? And this is on a lead basis. So you have a individual icebreaker, a personalized icebreaker for each and every individual lead. All right, so how do we do this? As I've mentioned, this is the whole process, and it's basically going from top to bottom. So it's chronologically, and this is the first thing that we are doing. So we have this flow, and it's starting manually. And one thing that we would need to do is to get the first list from Apollo. And if you are not familiar with Apollo, you can get a lot of data out of Apollo itself, which is a software specified on getting data, but it can get quite expensive, first of all. And then also it's a little limited in regards to the amount of data that you're able to retrieve, right? So you can enrich that data further. So I'm going to pretend that I'm looking for, like project managers in companies like Google and Amazon, or not but specifically in those two companies. And as you can see, this is not going to be an Apollo course, and you can get this data, by the way, with a free Apollo account. So this is not the part where we are spending money, actually, but we just want to have this URL, and I'm going to get to this in a second. So first of all, let's pretend we're looking for project managers within Google and Amazon, right? And you can obviously tailor all of these filters to your specific needs and to the ICP that you're looking for. And what we want to have is the URL. And if we take a look at the URL, then you can see, and I'm going to open this in a text editor, then this does look like a bunch of gibberish first after the first glance. But if we look at this a little closer, then you can see that after this base URL, basically, we are getting a question mark, and a question mark within a URL is always introducing a query, right? So this is often used for filtering, and this is exactly what this rest of the URL also does, right? So if I split this to a new line, and we will take a look at the rest of this. Then you can see, if you look a little closer, that these have these ampersands, right, at all these different places. So when I'm selecting all of the ampersands one by one, and I'm going to replace them basically with a new line, then all of a sudden this doesn't look as scary as it was before anymore. So this is quite readable also from a human standpoint, because you can see that we have a sort ascending equals false. So apparently you have the choice to basically switch this, how you want to sort that list, right? And this is obviously referring to this whole table, right? And then you also have sort by field, and apparently there's a recommendation score, and this is a field, and it is apparently sorted by this field as well. Then we have a page 1, and if we jump back into Apollo, then you can see down here that we have a lot of pages. So if we switch this page and then we jump back into the URL, then you can see at the very end that it's switched to page equals 2, right? And so on and so forth, which makes sense. And then we have the person titles, and then we have the square brackets, and then we all of a sudden have this term project manager, which is then split by this by these characters, which basically are just a URL encoded space, right? So basically this does only say project manager, right? And then we have an organization's ID, and then apparently there's an internal Apollo organization's ID for each and every company, and we have 2 of those, as you can see here. So organization's ID 1 and 2. And both of these are representing this filter right here, right? So this doesn't look as scary anymore, right? If we understand what we're doing. And this is also the reason why I'm telling you this, because the only thing that we would need right now is to actually have only this Apollo URL to get the data that we want, especially the email address, right? And the next step is that we are using Apify. And if you're not familiar with Apify, Apify is a pretty awesome platform, because it enables you to get a lot of data legally and ethically on the safe side, because they are a provider themselves, and they are offering you different kinds of scrapers, how you can get data from almost any platform you can think of, right? So you have a TikTok scraper, you have a Google Maps scraper, and so on and so forth. And 6,000 more actors, and they refer to everything you can think of. Now, what we want to have, and by the way, you will get a link in the description, which is an affiliate link, and I am happy to promote it because their product is awesome, definitely. And what we want to have is to get the Apollo scraper, right? And you can see that there are several, actually. And the one that I'm using is the very first one, and you can see that it does have a quite high rating on a lot of users, 60,000 users, and a high rating of 4.0 at the time of this recording. And when I open this, then you can already see what this is capable of, and especially also the pricing, right? And here you can see that you pay $1.20 for 1,000 leads, right? So the information that you would get from Apollo will be available to you, limited to 1,000 leads per $1.20, not limited, but in regards to the pricing itself. So it's $1.20 for 1,000 leads. And if you And if you calculate this, this is a 1/12 of a cent per lead, right? So, and this will include the email address, which is the most valuable part, right? And so if you have an account over there at Apify and you've created this, and you are able to jump into the console, and you will be able to access this, right? You will have to have a paid account if you want to fetch more than 100 leads per run. And but I have already said this, it's definitely worth it. And it starts with, I believe, $39 in the starter plan. But these $39 will be available to you as credits, you know, so you can invest them into not only Apollo scrapers, but also into everything, any scraper you would like, right? And many of them have a pay-per-use or pay-per-result pricing plan, right? So where you will be basically able to use your $39 if you have on the starter plan as credits. All right, now as you can see, the settings, this might look a little overwhelming if you have never used Apify before, but I promise you it's going to be quite simple what we're doing today, because the only thing that you need right now in regards to getting the Apollo leads is only the URL, right? So this is the only part that we need. So I'm going to paste this right in here, and then you have a bunch of settings, so you can limit the number of records required, and you also have within the run options the possibility to limit the charged results to the amount of that you would want to have. And as you can see, for $500 I pay 60 cents, right? And I get 500 leads or potential leads into my list. All right, so I'm going to run this right now, actually, and then you can see, or we can see what this outputs. So I'm going to hit save and start, and now you can see that the actor is getting our data, and as soon as this is done, you will get this complete list. And now you can see that we especially get the email address as well, and all the data that you can think of. And this is a very good start to creating personalized messages, right? Now, as for our our flow actually. What do we want to do with this? Now we will take a database, a so-called dataset ID, and you will find this within the storage tab if the actor has finished. And there you have this little button right here, and you can see that's the dataset ID. And I'm going to copy this into my clipper and jump back into my flow. And now you can see that the very first node that I'm using is an actual API call to Apify itself, right? And when I open this up, then you can see this is just a very basic HTTP request, and that the only thing that I would need to do is to paste my dataset ID right in here, and I've already done this. Then we have the authentication part, and then all my credentials, I've already saved this into n8n. Then I'm sending over the headers, and I don't need a body, and then I have the redirects to follow, and that's already it, right? So you have a URL that you're using, and I'm going to execute the step right now, and then let's see what happens. And now you can see I'm getting the 500 items that I also have within Apify, right? So I'm able to use this in the subsequent nodes, and the rest of the flow is actually also quite simple. So the only thing that I'm using here is a filter node. So I want to make sure that the leads that I got out of this scraper actually do have email addresses. So the only thing that I'm doing is that I'm saying, all right, the condition has to be that this previous field of email, which is this one here, right here below, I've pulled this right into this field, as you can see. And the only thing that I'm doing here is that I want to make sure that it exists, right? So because if it exists, it also has an email address. So when I execute this step, then now you can see that it did keep 437 items and discarded 63. So apparently they did not have this email field. So I have 437 items that I can go on with in my flow. All right, next thing is to remove the duplicates. And this is a native node within n8n. So when I open up the panel on the right side and I look for remove, then you can see that it is already one of the first results, and it says remove duplicates. So when I open this up, then I have a couple of settings here. The operations that I want to do is to remove duplicates from incoming items. And then I'm going to select a specific field that I want to check on if it has duplicates, and this is the email fields, right? So the fields to compare is email, because this is the ID basically that we can be sure of. If there are duplicates, then we want the whole lead to be removed. All right, now I'm going to run this again. All right, and now you can see that out of these 437 items, 410 were not duplicates, so they have been removed. Those 27 that were removed, that were duplicates, are removed right now. And now I do have a clean list of the Apollo scraper within Apify, and now I can add all of this right into my actual table, right? So I'm going to jump into Google Sheets again, and I'm going to delete all this sample data that I have prepared. Just going to delete everything so you can see that it's an empty list. I'm going back into n8n. And I'm going to open up the last node right here. And now you can see these are the credentials that I'm using. It's connected to my Google Sheets account. The resource that I'm using is a sheet within a document. The operation that I want to do is to append a row that I have chosen the document, which I just called demo lead list, which obviously is this file right here. The sheet that I'm using is the first one, the lead list sheet. I only have one anyway. And then I'm going to say map each column in manually. And then I am basically getting a selection of all the columns that are present within that Google Sheet. And then I'm able to drag and drop all the information into the according column where I want to have them saved, right? So as you can see, I have column first name, last name, and so on and so forth. And I have a headline and all of this information that I got out of Apollo. And now I have a really streamlined and beautiful and clean list of all the information that I care about, right? You can obviously, you do have a lot more data. As you can see, you can get into the employment history. You can get into the organization. There's a lot of information about the organization itself, right? So you can get a lot of info on that, like the number of employees, the founded year. So these are all parameters that we can use to, create a really personalized message. And then yes, this is already it. So I just drag and drop this into the according field. And now I'm going to execute this step as well. And now you can see that the output is actually 410 items. And when I jump back into my Google Sheet, then now you can see that it has been populated again and exactly where I want to have that data. And now you can see that all those yellow columns are now populated with their according fields. All right. Now this is the very first step, but it's already quite, this is already quite valuable, right? Because now you could already go on with this, right? You don't have to make a personalized message if you don't want, but you already have the data to contact those persons, right? And you can be sure that they kind of match your ICP because we have already, filtered them within Apollo itself. And it's also a very, very cost efficient solution because you are able to do this using Apify as well. All right. If you want to know how you can do all of this in detail and you want to be a real expert in everything regarding automations, then first of all, I'm happy to share everything that I know on my YouTube channel. So please subscribe and like and share this video first of all. And then also, I am building Skriptt AI School, right? Skriptt is my agency, and I would like to share all the knowledge that I have gained within the last years with you, and you will learn everything from the get-go. So if you are new to n8n itself, you will learn the basics, but you will become an expert sooner or later because I will cover everything, also the advanced topics, right? You will get into AI agents, how to build your own multi-level agent system. We will get into RAG, how you can basically feed your agents with the internal knowledge, you know, that's specific to your company. We will get into scraping. We already did this in this little intro, how Airtable work, how databases, vector databases, all of this works. We will get into prompt engineering. You know, we will get into expressions, how you can use code within n8n, and so on and so forth. So this will be growing. And this will be a paid community, but at the time of this recording, it is free because I'm working, and this is a work in progress currently. So you will have access to all the assets. So as I've mentioned, to the n8n flows, to the prompts, to the tables, you know, that I've prepared that you can use. If it's Google Sheets or Airtables, you will have access to this. If you join today, this will be free for you forever, even if I have changed this to a paid version, right? All right, so this is it for today. I hope you will join me in the next video when we get into the qualifying aspect, if the list that we have just generated does match our ICP. I thank you a lot for your attention, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.